Pyo Han-jun was once known as the Beast. He once single-handedly took on the strongest enforcer group, but just when he thought victory was his opponents dragged him to court. Through false testimony and forged evidence, Pyo Han-jun lost the lawsuit. To pay the enormous compensation, his father even sold the martial arts school he had built with his life's work. Since then, he swore never to raise a hand again. Because of that, 2 years later today, Pyo Han-jun sat slumped in his seat. Suddenly, the door burst open. The class bully boss Choi walked in. Everyone around greeted him enthusiastically, but he said he had something to take care of first. Then he walked straight up to Pyo Han-jun, placed a hand on his head, and the next moment, slammed. The reason? Boss Choi had opened an online store and forced everyone to buy from it. But Pyo Han-jun didn't purchase the new product. Seeing that Pyo Han-jun stayed silent, he slammed his head on the desk again and again, then clenched his fist and punched him in the face. A cold, murderous look appeared on Pyo Han-jun's face. But because of what happened 2 years ago, he chose silence again. Yet Boss Choi wasn't the only one who bullied him. On his way home, he passed by 3 local thugs. One of them recognized him. Back then, Pyo Han-jun was famous. But now that he had fallen, many kicked him while he was down. They dragged him into a small alley and started beating him up, mocking him mercilessly. But when they called him a disgrace to his father, Pyo Han-jun's body trembled. He suddenly grabbed the foot about to kick him and glared at them fiercely. The thug was so scared he froze on the spot. His body even began to shake slightly. But then Pyo Han-jun muttered, "Apologize? That doesn't feel right." The thug snapped out of it. As if trying to cover up his earlier fear, he picked up a nearby wooden stick and swung it hard at Pyo Han-jun's head. He swung with such force that the stick broke, then left feeling satisfied. At that moment, a blonde-haired man approached Pyo Han-jun. He squatted down and asked, "You let yourself get beaten like that? Is it because you're afraid of being sued or have no money for court? How about I give you some?" Then he poured out a pile of cash from his bag. "With this much money, you'd have more than enough to hire a lawyer. If you don't want to go to court, then just beat those guys up and pay them off if needed." "How long would it take for you to deal with them?" 3 minutes? 5. Pyo Han-jun looked at him and asked, "Who are you?" The man simply said, "We share a common enemy, Jin Tianju." Other details, I can't reveal yet. When he heard that name, Pyo Han-jun's entire body trembled. Jin Tianju was the leader of that enforcer group back then. Meanwhile, the thugs who had just left saw the pile of cash on the ground. Their greed flared, and they turned back. Just as they were about to snatch it, Pyo Han-jun struck one of them in the face with an elbow. Blood sprayed as he flew 2 meters away. He lay unconscious on the ground. The other 2 were instantly terrified by what they saw. For seconds is enough. Pyo Han-jun finally answered the earlier question, then slowly walked toward the 2 remaining thugs. They backed away in panic, frantically explaining themselves, but seeing the murderous look in his eyes, he wouldn't listen to a word. He punched one right in the face, shattering his front teeth, then landed another punch to the other's gut. The thug rolled his eyes and passed out. He took them out cleanly, 1 move each, then turned to the man and said, "All done. No more extras around. Now tell me, who are you really?" The man smiled and said, "Someone who can casually throw around tens of millions." He then followed the man to his residence. The man began to formally introduce himself. He was the youngest self-made billionaire in the country, Woo Junyu. He then said, "Do you know, Jin Tianju has now completely changed his image, becoming an esports athlete representing the nation. Isn't that ridiculous? He's still gathering people underground to do evil deeds. Meanwhile, the ones he ruined can only live in misery. Dragging him down from the pedestal wouldn't be hard, but that's not what I want. I want to destroy him completely, using his own methods. From now on, whether it's the cost of dealing with Jin Tianju or your future, I'll handle it all with money. Even your father's dojo. Leave it to me. So lend me your fists. That's why I came to you." Pyo Han-jun asked after a moment of silence, "Why do you hate Jin Tianju?" Woo Junyu chuckled. "Does it matter? You'll find out soon enough. But first, there's a member of Jin Tianju's group at your school, right?" Pyo Han-jun replied coldly. "Yes, there's one." Pyo Han-jun arrived at the classroom. Sure enough, Boss Choi was there. He walked straight toward him, veins bulging on his arms. He began to gather strength, then launched a punch right at Boss Choi's face. His whole face seemed to cave in. The crowd around them was stunned. Pyo Han-jun followed with a punch to the chest. Blood spewed from his mouth. Boss Choi tried to strike back, but Pyo Han-jun dodged easily, then stepped on his foot. And as Boss Choi staggered, he delivered a knee to the gut, then unleashed a flurry of punches, releasing all the anger he had held in. Around them, the classmates who'd been bullied before, all watched coldly and laughed. Pyo Han-jun charged his right fist and landed another heavy blow. Boss Choi flew over 2 meters, but even bruised and battered, he still cursed through his teeth. Pyo Han-jun approached slowly, face cold, killing intent radiating from him. Boss Choi finally felt fear. His body started trembling. He called out to his usual friends to stop Pyo Han-jun, but when they glanced over, they met Han-jun's murderous eyes and immediately turned their heads away. Hopeless, Boss Choi tried to provoke Han-jun with past traumas. "You think you can afford the damages? Don't ruin your life like last time." Before he could finish, Pyo Han-jun stomped hard on Boss Choi's face, then landed 2 more punches. The pain was unbearable. If this keeps up, I'm really gonna die. Boss Chui saw a chance and fled toward the classroom door. But Tiao Hanjuan, like a war god, followed him with powerful strides. Boss Chui kept telling himself, stay calm, no matter how strong he is. It's been 2 years since surely a proper athlete can take him down. Right, Qiao Shixiang will do anything for money. Boss Chui rushed to the next classroom. Qiao Shixiang looked at his bruised face in confusion. Boss Chui cried out for help. He promised $1 million if someone could handle the people behind him. But when he saw it was Pio Hanjun, he said that if it's him, the price has to be doubled. With no other options, Boss Chui agreed immediately. He accepted the deal without hesitation. Pio Shixiang walked up to Pio Hanjun. Sorry, he said. After all, entrance exams at Tita University cost quite a bit. Pio Hanjun, hearing that, seemed deep in thought. Then he rummaged through his pocket. He pulled out a stack of cash and handed it over. If this is just about the entrance exam, there's no need to make a big deal out of it. Take the money and get out of the way. Qiao Shixiang, who had no intention of clashing with Tiao Hanjuan, took the money and stepped aside. Boss, please. Boss Chui completely panicked. He started cursing loudly. You lackey. At that moment, Tiao Hanjuan stepped forward, and with one punch sent him flying out the window. He crashed heavily onto the corridor floor. This scene was witnessed by the principal walking toward them. Seeing Tiao Hanjuan approach, the principal instantly flew into a rage. He demanded to know what was going on. Afterward, both were taken to the principal's office. The principal angrily scolded Tiao Hanjuan. Are you a thug? How dare you beat a classmate to this state? In your first year, I let your troublemaking slide without consequences. I even spared you from expulsion. But instead of reflecting, this time, I won't let you off easily. Boss Chui, on the side, gloated and flipped him off. Yeah, think about it. Don't you think your father is pathetic? But these words touched Tiao Hanjuan's sore spot. Tiao Hanjuan suddenly exploded. He threw another punch at Boss Chui's face. The principal, startled by this, finally reacted, but couldn't hold back the furious Tiao Hanjuan. Just as Boss Chui lamented that he was done for, the door was opened. A man in a suit and glasses walked in. He told classmate Tiao Hanjuan to stop. Tiao Hanjuan glanced at the man, and finally stopped, sitting down. The principal, puzzled, asked who he was. The man in glasses responded, Hello, I'm Jean Fanquan, a lawyer from K2 law firm. The principal was even more confused. What was a lawyer from the country's top law firm doing here? After talking with the lawyer, the principal bowed and scraped to Tiao Hanjuan. Boss Chui was ordered to be expelled. The reason for all this was revealed when Tiao Hanjuan talked with Wu Junyu that night. The principal had done plenty of shady things, a little threat with those secrets, and he immediately caved. On the other side, Boss Chui was frantically banging on the table. You think I'll just give up? No, absolutely not. Tiao Hanjuan, a man who can lift 300 pounds barehanded, reduced to a prisoner, all because Boss Chui begged for his help. But he chose to stand aside, because the opponent he faced was Tiao Hanjuan, a man like a god of war. A knock came at the door. A lackey went to check. It was Boss Chui. The lackeys immediately surrounded him. You came just in time. The job you commissioned is being handled. The man sitting in the center of the room's sofa greeted him. He was Huang Jinqing, the leader of this thug gang. At that moment, Tiao Shixiang, badly beaten, roared in anger. It was you. You bastard. The next second, a heavy baseball bat struck. Huang Jinqing called out that a guest had arrived, and told them to take the guy away. Boss Chui also approached. This time, I'm entrusting you with an even bigger job. Huang Jinqing chuckled, asking how big it could be. Huang Jinqing smirked, indicating it was quite substantial. A lackey excitedly urged the boss to move out immediately, but Huang Jinqing promptly hit the lackey with a bat. Don't interrupt me. It's beneath us. The lackey immediately knelt and begged for forgiveness. After disciplining the lackey, Huang Jinqing asked seriously, since you're offering such a high price, Boss Chui, the target must not be an ordinary person. Boss Chui radiated intense hatred. Tiao Hanjuan, hearing the name, Huang Jinqing's eyes widened. He was utterly shocked, but then he said it wasn't impossible. 10 million is too little. Boss Chui replied that 10 million was the deposit. After the job is done, I'll double it. As the saying goes, men die for wealth, birds for food. Huang Jinqing's face lit up with greed. Deal. Night fell. Tiao Hanjuan's father excitedly patted his head. Son, Dad got a new job. Tiao Hanjuan knew this was Wu Junyo's doing. He said goodbye and left. Just as he went downstairs, he got a call from Wu Junyo. He warned him about Boss Chui's plans for revenge. He told Tiao Hanjuan to contact him if they came for him. Tiao Hanjuan said there was no need to call, because they were already here. Huang Jinqing slowly approached. Tiao Hanjuan, pleasure to meet you. Tiao Hanjuan asked who he was. Tiao Hanjuan was clearly shocked, but the next second, he surged forward with explosive force, charging straight at the vehicle. Just as a collision seemed imminent, Tiao Hanjuan stomped hard on the car's hood. The driver, startled, swerved sharply. Tiao Hanjuan used the momentum to roll onto the car. Even so, he was thrown heavily to the ground. As the crowd watched in stunned confusion, Tiao Hanjuan shakily stood up. A beast-like roar seemed to come from his throat. Suddenly, he snapped his head up, exuding intense killing intent. Detective X, you're pissing me off. Seeing Tiao Hanjuan's stance, everyone quickly prepared for a fight. Huang Jinqing was astonished that Tiao Hanjuan hadn't fought in 2 years. Yet his athletic reflexes and reaction speed were still exceptional. But even so, he'd still get hurt. Suddenly, a wicked grin spread across his face. He ordered everyone to get in the cars quickly. Smirking at Tiao Hanjuan, he said, "We'll meet again, Tiao Hanjuan," as the cars sped off. Tiao Hanjuan leaped up with incredible speed, chasing after the car at an unbelievable pace. The people in the car mocked Tiao Hanjuan, saying no human could catch a car. But they were quickly proven wrong. Not only did Tiao Hanjuan catch up, with a loud bang, he jumped onto the car's roof. Then he smashed the window with a punch, terrifying everyone inside. Tiao Hanjuan grabbed one lackey by the collar and yanked him out of the car. Tiao Hanjuan landed steadily and pinned the lackey down. The other lackeys in the car asked Huang Jinqing, "What do we do?" Jin Xiaohao fell out. Huang Jinqing, cold-faced, said, "Leave him." Jin Xiaohao, who had fallen from the car, tried to get up, but heard Tiao Hanjuan's voice, freezing in terror. "Where did those guys go?" Jin Xiaohao defiantly said, "I'll never tell you." Tiao Hanjuan glared at him. "I'll make you talk." Meanwhile, Huang Jinqing, they started drinking and celebrating. Boss Chui, seething, gritted his teeth and slammed his glass on the table. "You haven't even caught him, and you're celebrating like lunatics? Isn't that a bit premature? If Tiao Hanjuan bursts in now, do you have a plan?" Huang Jinqing turned his head and said, "Boss Chui, I get your point. But do you think that guy, if he's smart, would come here on his own? Relax. Is there any need to get so worked up and ruin our mood? Ever heard the saying, no need for a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? But we're not dealing with a chicken, we're hunting a tiger." As he spoke, he pointed a broken glass at Boss Chui's eyes. "Think we have a knife to hunt a tiger? No, a knife won't do against a tiger. So how did the ancients deal with tigers? Simple. They'd release dozens of hunting dogs, and, over time, relentlessly wear down the ferocious tiger, until it had nowhere left to run. That's our plan now. We'll torture Pyo Hanjun in the cruelest way possible." Suddenly, loud banging erupted at the front door. The door was visibly dented. Everyone was shocked. "What the hell is going on?" Huang Jinqing ordered someone to check it out. The blonde guy nervously walked over. He slowly leaned in to look through the peephole. Pyo Hanjun." Upon recognizing him, he couldn't help but shout in panic. Everyone inside scrambled in chaos. Huang Jinqing tried to calm them down. "Don't panic. No matter how strong he is, he can't break through an iron door. Just leave him be. He'll go away soon." And just like he said, the banging stopped. Everything went quiet. But then a hand reached in through the window, grabbing the bars tightly. The sound of shattering glass followed. Pyo Hanjun burst in through the window. Even Huang Jinqing was stunned. This was the 7th floor. Before anyone could react, Pyo Hanjun rushed into the room, launching a furious assault. Though the henchmen picked up weapons and tried to fight back, not a single one could withstand a hit. All of them were knocked down, unconscious on the floor. Pyo Hanjun coldly said, "Next, even if it were a bottomless pit, they had to jump, because they were facing the war god, Pyo Hanjun, here to punish the idiots who dared provoke him." Pyo Hanjun chose to strike straight at the heart, to destroy their base. After quickly taking out 3 people, the remaining ones were too shocked to move. As their boss, Huang Jinqing, looked extremely grim. Boss Choi quickly chimed in. "He only succeeded because of a surprise attack. If you fight him seriously, you guys can definitely win." Huang Jinqing no longer hesitated. "Go, take him down." The henchmen rushed forward all at once. Pyo Hanjuan's eyes glinted fiercely, locked onto them. He dodged to the side. One thug's strike missed completely, causing him to stumble forward. In that instant, Pyo Hanjun grabbed his ankle. With a fierce twist, he flung the man through the air. Another attacker behind him approached with a baseball bat, but Pyo Hanjun had already anticipated it. He crouched to avoid the blow, then turned and grabbed the attacker's neck. With force, he slammed him to the ground. Even the tiles cracked from the impact. Just then, the blonde guy positioned himself to strike from behind. The downed thug shouted in warning. The blonde guy was thrilled inside. Yes, got him for sure. But his grin didn't last 2 seconds, because Pyo Hanjun slowly turned his head. His gaze looked like death itself. The next moment, the blonde guy flew out the window. With a loud crash, he smashed hard onto the street. A rumble sounded nearby. A motorcycle slowly approached. A stunning woman removed her helmet. The blonde guy, barely conscious, slowly opened his eyes and saw the woman walking toward him, mumbling, "Is this heaven?" The woman asked if Pyo Hanjun was upstairs. The blonde guy was smitten. "Angel, is he upstairs? Can I have your number?" Her answer was a helmet to the face. With her answer, the woman pulled out her phone and made a call. Turns out she was one of Wu Junyo's subordinates. She was reporting the situation and location. Meanwhile, upstairs, Pyo Hanjun and Huang Jinqing stood face to face. Boss Choi lay off to the side, completely wrecked and unrecognizable. At that moment, Huang Jinqing smiled faintly. "We lost. I apologize, but why did you leave only me alive? Looks like you need something from me, huh? Speak. Money? Connections?" Pyo Hanjun stayed silent for a moment, then calmly said, "Wrong." He suddenly grabbed Huang Jinqing by the neck and effortlessly lifted him into the air. He stared him down coldly. "I just wanted to teach you a lesson." Hearing that, Huang Jinqing trembled uncontrollably, but a fierce look crept onto his face. Summoning all his strength, he swung his baseball bat at Pyo Hanjun. But Pyo Hanjun caught it with one hand, then threw him aside with force again. This time, Huang Jinqing was completely dazed, but it wasn't over yet. Pio Hanjun raised his fist. A terrifying punch landed squarely on Huang Jinqing's face, as Pio Hanjun kept pummeling him. A young man watched from a distance. He seemed to have made up his mind. Suddenly, he ran out and grabbed Pio Hanjun's arm, pleading with him. Pio Hanjun looked at him in confusion. It turned out this was the young man's home. Huang Jinqing and the others had occupied it. Because of their fight, the place had been completely trashed. He burst into tears by the end. Just then, the door opened. It was Wu Junyu, arriving after getting the report. Seeing the mess around him, he exclaimed, "This is insane." The young man turned to Wu Junyu and asked, "You here to wreck my house too?" Wu Junyu apologized. "I'll compensate you 5 times the damages." The young man, hearing that, couldn't believe it. He nervously asked, "Then, can you give me 10 million? Wu Junyu casually replied, "I'll give you 50. The young man instantly went from crying to grinning. As the two talked, Huang Jinqing quietly regained consciousness. After witnessing Pio Hanjuan's monster-like strength, he had no desire to fight back. Suddenly, he sprang up and ran toward the window. With a strong kick, leapt out the window. But suddenly, a large hand grabbed him, tightly by the collar. Huang Jinqing looked back. It was Pio Hanjun. Huang Jinqing screamed in despair. "Damn it!" Pio Hanjuan's expression radiated terrifying intent. "I'm not done hitting you." This man, hailed as the war god, won every fight, but lost the lawsuit. His father sold everything they owned. He fell into ruin. But then he met a man who threw money like water, and Pio Hanjun declared, "To all the bastards who dared provoke him." Huang Jinqing was terrified. In the end, he chose to jump out the window, but Pio Hanjun firmly grabbed him. Huang Jinqing looked back, sweating profusely. He couldn't let himself be pulled back. He hardened his resolve, pulled out a knife, and stabbed backward fiercely. The hand holding him tightly was forced to let go. Huang Jinqing grinned in relief, but the next second, something felt wrong. A wolf-like howl echoed. Huang Jinqing dropped rapidly, crashing hard onto the pavement, but he couldn't rest. His enemy was still watching from above. Huang Jinqing used all his strength to scramble away in panic. Even Wu Junyu upstairs commented, "That's some serious survival instinct." But behind him, one of the fallen thugs suddenly burst out laughing. "A bunch of idiots. You've stirred up big trouble and don't even know it." These words left the two confused, scratching their heads. The lackey continued, "Do you think we'd work for that jerk for nothing? That guy's dad is the president of Turtle Shipping. With his wealth, he could make you disappear without a trace." Hearing this, Wu Junyu flashed an enigmatic smirk. "This is really bad news." The scene shifts to a high-end residential building. Huang Jinqing returned home in a battered state. A man watched him with suspicion. This was Huang Jinqing's father, Huang Hailong. Huang Hailong stepped forward to support him and asked, "Which punk beat you up like this?" Huang Jinqing, trembling, begged for help to get revenge. His father stared at him in silence, then fixed him with a piercing, "That's not how you ask for help. Lift your head. If they see fear in your eyes, or feel you're not sincere, they won't lift a finger. Are you willing to bet everything and ask me again?" Huang Jinqing understood his father's intent. He wiped away his tears. "Dad, I have to crush those guys." Huang Hailong laughed heartily. "That's my son." He turned, pulled out his phone, and made a call. "I need 2 oil drums. I'm going to teach those fools a lesson." The son couldn't win, so the old man steps in. Huang Jinqing was beaten from the 3rd floor to the 1st by a war god. Despite severe injuries, he got up and fled. He begged his father, Huang Hailong, for revenge. Huang Hailong picked up the phone and rallied his men. He vowed to tear those fools to pieces. An hour later, Huang Hailong gathered his crew and set out in force. In the darkness, Wu Junyu's mocking voice rang out. "Just a friendly scuffle. And you brought all these flies?" Huang Hailong didn't back down. "You two must be tired of living." Hearing this, Wu Junyu stepped out from the shadows. "You're quite something." President Huang Hailong, surprised that he knew his name. Huang Hailong was puzzled at first. Then, looking closer, he broke into a cold sweat. Chairman Wu Junyu. He couldn't fathom why the chairman was here. Before he could figure it out, his phone buzzed. Bad news came from the other end. "President, we're in big trouble. Companies tied to our group are canceling contracts. Our business for the second half of the year is at risk. No one knows why, but word is Chairman Wu Junyu personally ordered it." Huang Hailong now grasped the gravity of the situation. He immediately knelt before Wu Junyu. "Chairman, please spare me this once." His men still clamored to take Wu Junyu down. Huang Hailong sharply rebuked them. Seeing his attitude, Wu Junyu told him to make the irrelevant people disappear. After his men retreated, Huang Hailong knelt again, begging forgiveness. "Chairman, if we can't operate, our company is finished." Wu Junyu stroked his chin, pondering. "I have to consider our corporate image. A company run by a thug's father. How can we work together?" Huang Hailong quickly responded, "I'll send this punk abroad, and never let him set foot in the country again." Huang Jinqing protested. His father answered with a heavy punch. Huang Jinqing stared at his father in disbelief, but his father kept punching, one after another. Wu Junyu, watching this absurd scene, chuckled. He coughed, signaling them to stop. "Your method is too lenient. I have a better way to discipline him. Follow my method, and you can resume operations." Huang Hailong eagerly agreed. "Any method would do. Thanks to your son, I spent 50 million. Let your son repay the debt himself." Huang Hailong was puzzled again. Wu Junyu smirked. You're in the seafood business, right? Take your son to sea with you. Hearing this, Huang Jinqing's face filled with despair. He cursed under his breath. Comment section, send get-rich wishes to support young Master Huang's seafaring venture. This man, hailed as a war god, beat his foes but lost a lawsuit. His father sold all their assets, and they never recovered. But he met a tycoon who spent money like water. When the hardest fist gained superpowers, revenge began to unfold. Super-rich Wu Junyu approached Tiao Hanjuan. Wu Junyu said the next organization at Jinjianju has grown significantly. It's hard for Tiao Hanjuan alone to take them down, so we need more manpower. As he finished speaking, a striking young man stepped forward behind Tiao Hanjuan. Wu Junyu introduced him as Cui Shuxian, our new intelligence officer. Cui Shuxian came over to greet them. I've heard of you. I thought you'd look like a bandit from the rumors, but you're actually a handsome guy. Wu Junyu interrupted their chat and tossed out a file. Another person I want to recruit is at Dongyan High. Hearing this, Tiao Hanjuan paused. After a moment, he uttered a name. Jin Dongxian. Wu Junyu chuckled. Exactly, that's him. When you clashed with Next, he was one of the few who stood by you until the end. Tiao Hanjuan lowered his head. How's that guy doing? Wu Junyu said solemnly. I heard that clash left his knees ruined. He can't even run. I know you have unresolved issues, but this is just business. You can use this chance to clear up misunderstandings with him, then dominate Next's Dongyan School branch. Tiao Hanjuan's eyes turned cold and resolute. The next day at Dongyan School, the Next organization held a strategy meeting. They discussed Boss Chui's detention, noting it might make collecting fees from Rinmiao School harder. Someone said that guy only cared about money and had no real strength, so they shouldn't bother with him. Another argued that, useless or not, he was still part of their group. The guy who sent him to detention needs a lesson. The reporting member hesitated. But that person is Tiao Hanjuan. This sparked heated discussion among the group. The leader, Min Jingjia, sitting at the front, snorted coldly, signaling them to quiet down. Suddenly, rapid footsteps approached. A lackey burst through the door. Big news. Tiao Hanjuan transferred to Dongyan School. This shocked everyone. Zhao Jingjia smiled and said, now we're in for a show. On his first day at the new school, the man boldly declared he'd come to dominate the school. But the crowd below just stared coldly, not daring to speak. The teacher, chuckling, smoothed things over and assigned him a seat. As Tiao Hanjuan walked to his seat, Zhao Wuming nearby sighed. The war god Tiao Hanjuan, finally meeting the legend in person. Tiao Hanjuan just gave him a cold glance. The school's big shots told us not to mess with you. Zhao Wuming smiled softly. But, I still want to test you. Don't overthink it. I just transferred here last year, so I don't know much about you. But I've heard the rumors. I just want to see if they're true. Let's have a fair one-on-one. What do you say? Zhao Wuming finished speaking and waited. It was clear Tiao Hanjuan had no intention of responding. Zhao Wuming frowned. Humph. If it weren't for me. Then he smacked Tiao Hanjuan on the head. But in the next moment, a phone strike landed straight on his face. His whole face distorted from the hit. With a thud, he fell backward. The loud crash drew the attention of everyone around. They turned to see Tiao Hanjuan still raising his arm, as if declaring that the king's dignity is untouchable. He left a warning. Don't wake me up, and went back to sleep. When the class Tiao Hanjuan got up to unleash his kingly presence. Everyone glanced at him with admiration. He simply responded with a cool look. Naturally, people backed off. Right then, in front of him, a limping man struggled to walk fast. It was one of his targets. His old comrade, Kim Donghyun. As Tiao Hanjuan was deep in thought, Kim Donghyun was suddenly kicked hard in the stomach. He collapsed to the ground. It turned out the thug was angry because he took too long buying things, and vented his rage by attacking him. He grabbed his hair and smacked his head hard. Even people nearby said, he's just a cripple anyway. You make him run errands every day. No wonder he comes back later and later. Exactly. If he really ran, his leg would be ruined. The thug raised his fist again. He just doesn't fear me enough. Once he fears me more than his crippled leg, that's enough. He punched down hard again. But Tiao Hanjuan just silently watched. If you got closer to him though, you could hear his heart pounding fiercely. Later, Kim Donghyun angrily ate a lollipop, but couldn't unwrap it, so he threw it away. Then another lollipop landed by his foot. He glanced to the side and saw Tiao Hanjuan standing before him, looking down at him. Watching, Kim Donghyun's face stayed cold and silent, so Tiao Hanjuan took the initiative. Long time no see, Kim Donghyun. Kim Donghyun responded with a question. I heard you came here to take over. Tiao Hanjuan threw the question back at him. In terms of money or numbers, we've already lost. It's all over. But Tiao Hanjuan didn't agree. No, this time, I'll win for sure. Hearing that, Kim Donghyun turned to leave, brushing past him. You didn't expect to lose last time either, right? And thanks to you, I ended up crippled. Tiao Hanjuan could only clench his fists in response, and shouted at the retreating Kim Donghyun. Just wait and see. Unbeknownst to them, someone was watching from above. It was Min Kyungchul, the current boss of the school. I thought he was planning something big. Turns out he's just trying to team up with that cripple. Two morons. Guys, leave a comment. Give some motivation for Sarong to keep writing. Your whole school is mobilized, just to deal with the man called the war god, Tiao Hanjuan. Yet Pyo Hanjun sat quietly in the classroom. Suddenly, a voice came over the speaker. I'm Min Kyungchul. Let it be known, Pyo Hanjun, who once fought Nexus 2 years ago, has transferred to Donjian School and claimed he'll rule this place. Everyone around started whispering, mocking his past defeat. But Pyo Hanjun remained unfazed. The broadcast continued. Pyo Hanjun, I know you're strong, because I've never seen you lose, but I don't want to fight you. I'm not an idiot. Why would I challenge you to a fair fight? Alright, then from this moment on, the hunt officially begins. But just as he finished speaking, your underlings immediately burst out through the windows. The sound of shattering glass echoed non-stop. Just as everyone was wondering what had happened, a foot suddenly stomped out forcefully. Pyo Hanjun leapt out. His murderous aura was chilling to the bone. But peering into the classroom, everyone inside had already been taken down. It was terrifying to such an extent. Pyo Hanjun adjusted his breathing. Listen up, Donjian School. Let's see now. Who's really the prey? At his words, everyone rushed at him at once. Pyo Hanjun first repelled them with a whip kick, then delivered a powerful blow to another group. Next came an uppercut that knocked another down. At this moment, Pyo Hanjun looked calm, cold, and merciless. None of the attackers could withstand even one move. Just as more of the underlings charged at him, Pyo Hanjun spun on his feet, delivering a fierce kick that sent one flying into the crowd. One of the underlings shouted in shock, Monster, he's dead set on taking down all of us. Don't be afraid. Grab him. If we catch him, we win. Suddenly, one person charged in and hugged Pyo Hanjun's waist tightly. Then 3 more restrained his arms and neck. The pressure on his neck was so intense that Pyo Hanjun felt suffocated. The rest launched various attacks, striking him from all directions. Suddenly, a fierce glint appeared on Hanjun's face. He stomped forward forcefully with one foot. The one hugging him cried out in pain and let go. Before he could recover, Hanjun kneed him in the face and immediately kicked him in the stomach. A turning point appeared. He powered up his right leg, leaned his whole body backward, and slammed his free right fist into one attacker, then swung his left arm at the one. Finally, he punched both forward and backward, regaining his freedom. But Pyo Hanjun gave them no time to be shocked. His face turned fierce. His fists clenched tightly. He unleashed a barrage of punches, so fast they became a blur of afterimages. Those hit were left in miserable condition. Then Hanjun charged through the crowd, dealing explosive blows one after another, appearing utterly invincible. It's unclear how long it lasted, but when he looked back, not a single enemy remained standing in the hallway. Only Pyo Hanjun was left, panting heavily. But as soon as he looked up again, the hallway was once again filled with enemies. Pyo Hanjun, already running out of stamina? That won't do. It's far from over. It's only just begun. Pyo Hanjun tried to regulate his breathing, his eyes filled with resolve. Meanwhile, a lone figure quietly sat in a classroom. It was Pyo Hanjun. Chung Donghyun, though his best friend, he remained indifferent to the battle outside. His expression gloomy, deep in thought. He couldn't understand why that idiot Pyo Hanjun, even though everything was already over. Why are you sitting here so peacefully? That's not right, is it? Hello there. You must be Chung Donghyun. Chung Donghyun asked back. Who are you? I guess I'm Pyo Hanjun's co-worker, you could say. That answer first surprised Donghyun. Then he lowered his head. I can't help him. Choi So-hyun pulled out a chair and sat down. I'm not here to ask you to help him. I just want to tell you something about Pyo Hanjun. That guy knew from the beginning that every student in Donjian would rush him all at once. So we told him to retreat when that happened. But he was too stubborn. He insisted on fighting them to the end. Do you know why? He said he wanted to prove it to you. This time he'll win. Qin Dongxian's expression froze. Then he lowered his head, lost in thought. Can I do this in my condition? He gripped his injured knee tightly. But Choi Shuxian cut him off. Are you sure you won't regret this? Hearing the question, Qin Dongxian fell silent, clenching his teeth, veins bulging on his face. The scene shifted outside the classroom. Pyo Hanjun kicked a lackey, sending him flying 9 meters. Pyo Hanjun and Lu Buji panted heavily. Looking around, they had once again defeated everyone. A clap echoed. Pyo Hanjun knew another tough fight was coming. Min Jingja descended the stairs, as expected of Pyo Hanjun. How many have you taken down alone? But this is as far as you go, because from now on, every opponent you face will be a monster. Still catching his breath, Pyo Hanjun immediately assumed a fighting stance. Min Jingja smirked with disdain. What a lunatic. Get him. At his command, the mob charged. As Pyo Hanjun clenched his fists to strike, a broom came flying from above, smashing into an enemy's face, distorting it with the force. The sudden interruption shocked both Pyo Hanjun and Min Jingja. Looking down the corridor, a figure stood tall in the center. Pyo Hanjun, always showing off by yourself, huh? It was Jin Dongxian, a man who single-handedly defeated over 1,000 at the school. Yet the battle was far from over. He now faced Dongyan School's top 10 elite fighters. As Pyo Hanjun readied for combat, Jin Dongxian stepped forward. You jerk, always hogging the spotlight. Min Jingja frowned. Fine, this works. We'll take out that cripple too. The mob surged toward Jin Dongxian. Jin snapped his stick in half, catching the broken piece, striking a fighting pose. Idiot. What's with that pose? An enemy charged, fists clenched. Jin struck his joints with one stick, then whipped the other across his body. But a sharp pain shot through his leg. The enemies gave him no respite. White-clothed bald guy grabbed his waist. Jin's stick techniques were masterful, while Piao Hanjuan, on the other side, swung his fists, forcing enemies to retreat. Min Jingja's so-called monsters were now surrounded by the duo. One enemy shouted in panic. No way. This is impossible. One's exhausted, and the other's a cripple. How are they this strong? After a fierce exchange, the two stood back to back, guarding each other. I'm sorry. Piao Hanjuan suddenly apologized. Jin Dongxian replied calmly. Every day I've lived like this. I've resented you. Then, a faint smile crossed his lips. But at that moment, Min Jingja, like a titan, leaped forward coldly. Since you both want to die, I'll grant your wish. The duo remained unfazed. Hey, Piao Hanjuan, he's mine. They swiftly dodged, causing Min Jingja's attack to miss. Looking up again, the two rushed toward the gate. Min Jingja quickly caught up. You idiots. Now you realize you need to run? As he finished speaking, Piao Hanjuan suddenly stopped, grabbed his collar, and executed a shoulder throw. The move sent Min Jingja flying 6 or 7 meters. Min Jingja, enduring the pain, struggled to his feet, only to witness a shocking scene. Jin Dongxian stood at the gate, firmly locking it shut. Piao Hanjuan stood on the other side of the gate. They spoke through the door. I'll be right there. I'll make this quick. A promise. And a sign of trust. Min Jingja laughed loudly. Jin Dongxian, you've made the wrong choice again. Wrong choice. Maybe. To someone like you with no friends, it probably is. You're just a pitiful guy. Enraged, Min Jingja swung his fist. Who's the pitiful one here? His punch was blocked by Jin Dongxian with a broken stick. Min Jingja, reacting, took heavy damage to his hand. Jin Dongxian pressed his advantage, landing another heavy blow with the stick. Min Jingja was no ordinary fighter. He steadied himself with a kick, and instead of retreating, grabbed Jin Dongxian. With brute force, he lifted him up and slammed him to the ground. He followed with a punch, but Jin Dongxian nimbly dodged. Min Jingja stood, eyeing the stick. Jin Dongxian, what now? You'll have to fight me barehanded, huh? Jin Dongxian's face turned fierce. He adjusted his breathing, then suddenly tore off his shirt. He wrapped the shirt around his arm. Who said that? A shirt. You're hilarious. Though Min Jingja mocked. He cautiously prepared to attack. Jin Dongxian charged forward, throwing his shirt at Min Jingja. It wrapped tightly around Min Jingja's head, completely covering it. Then he dragged Min Jingja's entire body, slamming him to the ground. He pounded him with fierce punches. Just as victory seemed near, a force struck his leg. Jin Dongxian was stunned. Min Jingja grabbed his leg and sprang up, flipping him to the ground. He applied an ankle lock, firmly controlling him. You and I, we're not the same as before. A heavy punch slammed into Jin Dongxian's injured leg. Jin Dongxian's eyes rolled back, letting out a heart-wrenching scream. Think a shirt can be a weapon? This crippled man wrapped his shirt around his arm, then charged at Min Jingja. He threw the shirt, wrapping Min Jingja's head tightly. Then he dragged his entire body, slamming him heavily to the ground, pounding him relentlessly with punches. Min Kyungchul only grabbed his lame leg, yet managed to throw Kim Donghyun to the ground. He immediately locked his ankle tightly, then threw a heavy punch right at his lame leg. Kim Donghyun let out a heart-wrenching scream. Min Kyungchul, successful in counterattacking, stood up gasping. Kim Donghyun, today's incident, I'll make you pay dearly for it. After his threat, Min Kyungchul turned and walked toward the other battlefield. Damn fresh meat. Where do you think you're going? Kim Donghyun actually trembled as he stood back up. Min Kyungchul turned and glared. You can still get up? Our fight isn't over yet. Kim Donghyun struggled to take a fighting stance. Min Kyungchul didn't bother talking anymore. He immediately launched a right hook, then a left hook for good measure. 2 heavy blows landed, but Kim Donghyun still refused to give up. It's not. Before he could finish the word, over, a heavy punch landed squarely on his face. The sheer force sent his whole body flying. He crashed hard into the ground. Min Kyungchul looked at the motionless Kim Donghyun. You damn bastard. Just as he was about to leave again, Kim Donghyun got back up again. Are you kidding me? Where do you think you're going? Min Kyungchul froze at those words. Kim Donghyun supported himself with both hands and held a shard of glass in one of them. Min Kyungchul was furious at this cockroach-like resilience. He threw another furious punch. Kim Donghyun rose to meet him head-on. He slashed Min Kyungchul's cheek with the shard. Before he could react, he slashed at his other cheek again. But Min Kyungchul wasn't going down that easily. He swung a punch sideways, but Kim Donghyun ducked just in time. He grabbed his collar. I absolutely cannot lose to you. If I lose here, I'll never be able to face Pyo Han-jun again. He then headbutt him with full force. Min Kyungchul's eyes rolled back. His vision became blurry. Kim Donghyun pressed on the attack. He struck relentlessly. Min Kyungchul was fading fast. His body began to stagger. Memories flashed in Kim Donghyun's mind. Tears mixed with a beast-like roar. With one final punch driven by pure will, he struck hard. Min Kyungchul's face contorted. His eyes rolled back. He collapsed onto the ground, completely unresponsive. Kim Donghyun gasped for breath. Suddenly, pain shot through his leg, but he knew he couldn't fall just yet. Chanam opened the door on the other side. Everyone was down, except Pyo Hanjun. You lunatic, you really beat them all. As he spoke, he lost his balance and leaned against Pyo Hanjun's shoulder. Pyo Hanjun held him up. They smiled at each other. No words needed to be exchanged. This is how men communicate. Meanwhile, outside the school, a large group of people arrived. Leading them was Mr. Lee from I think his name was Pyo Hanjun, right? Drag him out here. Break all 3 of his legs. But at that moment, a man in a suit and glasses approached. Let the kids settle things among themselves. Let's talk business, adult business. Mr. Lee looked serious. He could tell the man wasn't ordinary. Back inside the school classroom, K2 law firm. Seems like Pyo Hanjun has a lot of money. But money doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. I'll be straight with you. What I brought won't disappoint you. Mr. Lee fell silent for a moment. Then a slight smile appeared on his face. There are 3 boxes here. Which one will you choose? Mr. Lee replied. Only kids make choices. I want all of it. He then ordered someone to open the box. But the contents were completely unexpected. It was filled with various documents on the Donjian conglomerate. Boss Lee picked one up in dissatisfaction. What is all this? Lawyer Jean calmly replied. These are tomorrow's headline news. The Donjian conglomerate not only condoned delinquent activity, they even selected strong students to form a delinquent organization, bribery, illegal land disputes, and various tax issues. If that's not enough, I can keep going. Boss Lee lowered his head, his expression dark. Big shot lawyer. Didn't it cross your mind while compiling these documents? That one slip up, and your life might be forfeit? But Lawyer Jin's expression didn't change. Even if I lose my life, this won't end. Do you think if our law firm, the biggest in the nation, went head-to-head with the Donjian conglomerate, who would win? Hearing this, Boss Lee couldn't help but reflect for a moment. But in the end, he raised his hand, signaling to let the person go. Then he asked, what do you want? Lawyer Jean, seeing the topic finally reached the point, showed a slight smile. Very simple. Just hand over full control of this school. Boss Lee said no more, once again falling into thought. Meanwhile, outside the hospital operating room, Choi So-hee sighed. Kiao Hanjun, are you even human? You fought the whole school and came out unharmed? Kiao Hanjun responded. Who said I'm unharmed? Just then, the doctor came out of the operating room. He must have been in unbearable pain normally. The doctor said the surgery was very successful. There's a high chance of recovery. Upon hearing this, Kiao Hanjun finally felt like a weight had been lifted. Meanwhile, at a high-end club, Wu Junyu was checking his phone. When he saw news about Donjian School, a pleased smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. At that moment, 2 people behind him were getting up to leave. The white-haired man suddenly spoke up. I thought something was off. Suddenly a magazine wants to interview Chairman Wu Junyu. Today's interview. Was it your arrangement? As the man came into view, he was the final boss, Jin Tianju. Jin Tianju continued speaking. For someone of your level to meet with me, it's a great honor. Wu Junyu actually chuckled at that. You're laying it on too thick. Did you forget who I am? Jin Tianju smiled in return. Of course not. But you're very different from who you were before. Wu Junyu's expression turned cold. The past is the past. Now you're nothing more than a corporate chairman and an esports player. He slowly lifted his coffee. Jin Tianju replied again. But I now choose to remain polite to those I respect. Huh. It's good that you know your place, but I'm someone obsessed with the past. That's why I took over Donjian School. However, Jin Tianju remained calm, saying he didn't know what Wu was talking about. If you've said all you needed to, then I'll take my leave. Chairman, it was a pleasure meeting you today. He then extended his hand, but Wu Junyu clearly had no intention of responding. Still, Jin Tianju didn't get angry. Instead, he gave a slight bow toward Wu Junyu and slowly turned to leave. Wu Junyu watched Jin Tianju. Next time we meet, you might not be able to control your expression so easily. Jin Tianju's face was dark as he left, lost in thought. As soon as he returned to the car, his confidant asked, what now? Are you really going to let Pyo Hanjun and Wu Junyu be? No way. Since they've mobilized the whole class, we should respond accordingly. And this showdown might be the largest in history. On the surface, he's a popular esports star, but behind the scenes, he's the underground king of H Nation. And now, to deal with a man who's been down for 2 years, he's ready to resurface. He even summoned all division heads of the organization. Baek Dongshin from the Sinsang district was the first to ask, who the hell is Pyo Hanjun? Was it really necessary to call us all here to Seoul? Lee Munru from the Jungcheong district chuckled. It's normal that a newly promoted junior like you wouldn't know. Though annoyed, Baek Dongshin listened patiently. 2 years ago, in a small district of Seoul, a real headache of a boss showed up. That was Pyo Hanjun. At the time, we were expanding our reach. But no matter what we tried, we couldn't take his area. It was embarrassing, and worse. Other regions gained hope after hearing about him. Rebellions started popping up everywhere. We poured all our manpower into the fight, but the result was unthinkable. We had 10 times the numbers, but still lost to him. It nearly caused Nexus' complete collapse. Baek Dongshin was skeptical. Is that even possible? Lee Munru scoffed coldly. That's because you've never seen him fight. He's a total monster. Really? Sounds like you guys were just weak. As soon as Baek said that, the room turned icy cold. Disrespectful brat. You trying to reshuffle rankings? Lee Munru was about to explode in anger. But a pair of big hands stepped in. It was Kim Jiha from the Kangwon district. Forget it, he said. To some extent, what he said makes sense. Choi Taisu also chimed in. That's right. I think so too. Either way, that was 2 years ago. Is it really necessary to mobilize so many people for one Pyo Hanjun? Isn't it a bit overkill? Just then, footsteps echoed. It was Nexus leader, Kim Tianju. Long time no see, brothers. After some brief greetings, Kim Tianju got to the point. Pyo Hanjun has made a move. We may have to face him soon. Everyone fell silent. Choi Taisu finally broke the silence. Tianju, it's good to be cautious, but do we really need a showdown? He just took over a school. Isn't this a bit of an overreaction? Kim Tianju didn't reply. He just smiled like a saint. Choi Taisu was confused at first, then felt a chill down his spine. He realized he had spoken out of line. Kim Tianju finally spoke. Was this an overreaction? Hearing this rhetorical question terrified Choi Taisu even more. He bowed his head in silence. The tension was thick when suddenly, I don't think it's an overreaction. Nam Hansu from the Yonkian division made his stance clear. Let me take him on. Kim Tianju then asked, can you handle it? The legal approach I tried last doesn't work anymore. He has help now, so we need better preparation. Nam Hansu pointed to his forehead. Preparation? Ever since I got this scar, I've been ready. Kim Tianju laughed happily. Alright, I approve. Any objections? After a short pause, everyone voiced agreement. Nam Hansu's expression turned fierce. Pyo Hanjun. After the meeting, Nam Hansu returned to Yonkian and gathered his crew. He announced they'd be dealing with Pyo Hanjun. Suddenly, a fat guy rushed out. He showed an excited expression. This is wonderful news. The next day arrived. Pyo Hanjun, unaware of everything, was brought to an old house by Wu Junwoo. Wu Junwoo suddenly spoke up. Don't you feel unwilling? I know everything about you, but you know nothing about me. For example, why I'm so rich, why I hate Jin Tianju so much, and why I want to work with you to take him down. The answers are all in here. They entered the house. The two of them sat down. Wu Junwoo began to explain everything. First of all, the money I spend isn't mine. It all belonged to the owner of this house. Around 2 years ago, I had a friend. Someone I'd known for a long time. I don't even know when. We started getting along that well. We fought often, but always made up the next day. He was like family to me. He was a genius in system design and stock trading. No one could compare to him. Together, we developed a neural network stock trading system. Everything was going well. Until Pyo Hanjun, you lost a nexus. After that, everyone in the district was replaced. They crushed anyone who got in their way, destroying any budding organization. You know my personality. I'd never bowed down to those scumbag thugs. My friend and I fought back. Even though we weren't fighters, we still resisted until the end. At first I thought they'd see us as just two lunatics, and eventually leave us alone. But they were even crazier than we imagined. They set a fire and burned Ah Hyun alive. I wanted to avenge him, but the outcome was predictable. My friend was killed, and I couldn't do anything. That feeling of helplessness made me lose all will to fight Nexus. I didn't even want to live anymore. I wanted to erase every trace of myself, but I found out the trading system was still running automatically. And to my surprise, there was an astonishing sum in the account. Joy, regret, panic. But more than all those feelings, what I kept thinking was, if only Ah Hyun were still alive. The more I thought, the angrier I became. That anger became the reason I had to stay alive. I want to use this money to destroy Jin Tianju. After hearing the story, Pyo Hanjun simply asked, why are you telling me all this? Wu Junwoo replied, because I want to make sure you can't give up your revenge against Nexus. Night fell. Wu Junwoo received a call from Choi Suyin. They're about to make their move. A bold bunch. Wu Junwoo replied seriously. They really are. As the call ended, outside the car, 4 motorcycles appeared. Paint was suddenly thrown from them. The driver swerved hard to avoid it, but couldn't escape. The entire car was sent flying. Choi Suyin anxiously asked what happened, but the unconscious Wu Junwoo couldn't respond. Suddenly, a hand reached for the phone. It was Nam In-soo, branch director of Yonkian district. You know Pyo Hanjun, right? Tell him, if he wants the guy back, we'll be waiting at the Yonkian Logistics Center. Meanwhile, Pyo Hanjun was reflecting on Wu Junwoo's words from earlier. How funny, he muttered. I never intended to quit halfway anyway. Suddenly, a shout came from behind. A motorcycle drifted right in front of him. Get on. Those Yonkian bastards kidnapped Wu Junwoo. The sudden news left Pyo Hanjun stunned. Meanwhile, Wu Junwoo snapped awake. Seeing Man Rinshio and the massive Baibanzhong, he wasn't afraid. He burst into wild laughter. You guys are something else. Inchwan's crew, born as a 50-pound giant eagle, growing to a staggering 500 pounds. But standing before him was the man hailed as the war god, Pyo Hanjun. Pyo had come to rescue the kidnapped tycoon, Wu Junwoo. Baibanzhong said, want to save him? Follow me. We won't gang up on you. In Inchwan, it's one-on-one. Along the way, Choi Shuxian was oddly curious about the giant, bombarding him with bizarre questions. Baibanzhong grew visibly annoyed. Choi Shuxian relented. Fine, one last question. 2 years ago, Inchwan's boss, Nin Wanxiu, knelt before Pyo Hanjun to secure peace. Why are you now scheming against him? The question drained the color from Bai Banzhong's face. When I'm angry, I don't care who you are. Piao Hanjuan stepped forward. He's right. This chilled Bai Banzhong, the lone bachelor, to the bone. You could hear his fists clench tightly. Suddenly, he swung his massive fist. But in the next instant, Piao Hanjuan kicked him in the face, sending the 500-pound giant flying. The crowd gasped in shock. They grabbed their weapons, readying to fight Piao Hanjuan. At that moment, Wu Junyu cried out for help. Piao Hanjuan, untie me. My legs are numb. Suddenly, a figure appeared before him. Everyone back off. I'll handle this punk. It was Ingchuan's current boss, Nan Rinxio. Piao Hanjuan studied the man, thinking, you're Nan Wanxio's brother. The question enraged Nan Rinxio. He threw a lightning-fast punch, grazing Piao Hanjuan's cheek. This shocked those who knew Piao's reputation. Nan Rinxio assumed a fighting stance again. Throw a punch. I've waited for this day too long. If you don't, I'll strike first. Piao Hanjuan admired the punch's speed, but he could have dodged it, yet the next punch landed squarely on his cheek. Piao Hanjuan looked incredulous, but countered instantly. Nan Rinxio tilted his head, dodging. Piao steadied himself, unleashing a whip-like kick. Nan Rinxio bent at an unbelievable 90 degrees to evade, then surged forward, landing a punch to Piao's waist. Piao didn't retreat. He charged again, but his strike missed. A fist loomed before his eyes. Too slow. Piao Hanjuan leaped back, clutching his injured cheek. This is tricky. If you fall this quickly, I won't get my satisfaction. Get up. We're just getting started. Nan Rinxio, a prodigious boxer, abandoned his career 2 years ago because his brother, Nan Wanxio, knelt before Piao Hanjuan, disgracing Ingchuan's proud reputation. Since then, he never rested. And in 2 years, defeated 27 schools and 13 gyms, disbanding 4 organizations. Through countless battles, he grew stronger, all to exact revenge on Piao Hanjuan, glaring at him. If you're this weak, Ingchuan's humiliation because of you, and my rage seem overblown. Piao Hanjuan staggered under Nan Rinxio's onslaught, retreating step by step. Cui Shuxian grew worried. Wu Junyu cautioned, don't judge yet. I investigated Piao Hanjuan before hiring him. What surprised me most is that, as a gym owner's son, beyond physical training, he never formally studied fighting. With raw strength, stamina, and courage alone, he turned Max's world upside down. As long as Piao Hanjuan fully analyzes Manhwa's movements, the situation will instantly reverse. Back to the battlefield. Piao Hanjuan was sent flying by another punch. Manhwa pressed his advantage, moving like a flash of light. But unexpectedly, Piao Hanjuan suddenly grabbed his body. Manhwa quickly understood his intent. You don't think I'm just a boxer, and plan to use ground fighting to take me down, do you? Piao Hanjuan didn't respond. His legs surged with power, pushing Manhwa backward. Manhwa was shocked by this monstrous strength. If this keeps up, I'll crash into something. Suddenly, a smile curled his lips. He grabbed Piao Hanjuan in return, tightly locking his neck. In one swift move, he executed a backward shoulder throw. Piao Hanjuan was sent flying. The nearby lackeys cheered loudly, but Manhwa shouted, this is just the end of the first round. Piao Hanjuan struggled to his feet, gasping for air. Blood and tears streamed from his eyes. The blood obscured his vision, affecting his balance and movements. Manhwa understood this well. Growing more confident in his victory, he charged forward, launching an attack. But this time, Piao Hanjuan dodged. Before Manhwa could react in shock, a terrifying punch slammed into his face. What's happening? Did he analyze my movements this quickly? Piao Hanjuan landed another punch to his face, caving it in. He raised his fist again, smashing it down onto Manhwa's head. Observing the fight, Wu Junyu analyzed, even if Piao Hanjuan lags behind in speed, the gap shouldn't. Manhwa's speed is the pinnacle, honed through real combat, yet it can't match Piao Hanjuan. He's a monster among monsters. Cui Shuxian questioned, then why was he taking a beating earlier? Rather than taking a beating, he was letting his body adapt to Manhwa's ability to switch between short-range and long-range strikes, adjusting distance and speed. Manhwa also sensed something was off. Piao Hanjuan was now accurately predicting his attacks and distances. As he pondered this, Piao Hanjuan threw another punch. Its speed was so fast, Manhwa couldn't. He was filled with frustration. Did he adapt to my attacks this quickly? Is this the difference in talent? I don't believe it. He moved his feet quickly, dodging a punch from Piao Hanjuan. Manhwa's face twisted in rage. I haven't even used my full strength yet. He unleashed a flurry of rapid attacks. Piao Hanjuan raised his arms to block. I need to be faster. So fast he can't keep up with my pace. Seeing this, Wu Junyu smiled. It's over. Sure enough, Piao Hanjuan seized an opening, countering with a heavy punch. You're too slow. Then he landed a devastating uppercut. Manhwa spat blood instantly. In a daze, he recalled his brother's words. To protect our brothers, you said you'd do anything. Does that mean just kneeling before him? If the boss kneels, it means we all kneel. You bastard. Get up. Since you chose to kneel, let me take him down. Manhwa was relentlessly beaten by Piao Hanjuan. His body grew increasingly frail. The lackeys showed worried expressions. Panic began to grip his heart. Did my brother feel this way too? He's not human. He's not someone you can easily defeat. He's utterly terrifying. I want to run away right now, but if I run, what about my brothers? Suddenly, all the lackeys rushed forward. Baiban led the charge at the forefront. Brothers, let's take down that bastard Pyo Hanjun together. Nam Insu was utterly shocked. That monster can't be defeated just by numbers. He immediately shouted, "Stop!" Everyone paused in surprise. Facing Pyo Hanjun, Nam Insu suddenly knelt down. He slowly said, "I lost." At that moment, Nam Insu finally felt the weight of his knees. He used to feel ashamed seeing his brother kneel to others. But who could understand his shame and loneliness? The one who once ignored his pride wasn't Pyo Hanjun. It was all of us. Baekban shouted loudly at Nam Insu. "Stand up now. Are you really no different from your brother?" But Nam Insu said nothing, because he didn't yet know how to express his thoughts. At that moment, Wu Junwoo stepped forward. "Do you all really not see he did this for you? And do you truly think beating Pyo Hanjun means you've won? In any fight, the true victor is the one who protects more." Then he asked Nam Insu to raise his head. But as he looked up, he saw Wu Junwoo spit on his fist. Then he suddenly punched him in the head. Nam Insu angrily asked what the hell that was for. "What for? You kidnapped me. Shouldn't I get some payback? You brat." "That felt good. I was planning to have you locked up, but I'll let it slide this time. This kidnapping ends here. Also, you guys owe Nexus a huge debt, right? Not just from Yankean Weaving Company, but also from your messed up family situations. Your brother took out that loan from Nexus to solve all that. And now I've paid it off." Everyone looked at him in disbelief. Just as Wu Junwoo was about to leave, Nam Insu couldn't help but ask, "Why did you pay off our debt?" Wu Junwoo replied, "If I didn't, you guys might have come after me again, right? Besides, you think I pay it for free? Your technical school should have texted each of you. I already paid your tuition. You go there and study hard. Then work hard to pay me back. I know the money you owed Nexus was earned through the harshest jobs. I helped because your situations were tough, but you still worked hard." After saying that, Wu Junwoo turned to leave. Nam Insu felt a swirl of emotions, but he could only lead the others and shout, "Thank you." And they swore that this favor, they would repay it someday. Then Nam Insu bowed to his brothers in apology. "I'm sorry. I lost. I embarrassed you all. I won't let you down again. From now on, Yankean withdraws from Nexus."